Hello and welcome to this evening's Live at 5. So today we are going to be looking at the painting process. This stage is pretty much called the imprimatura stage. Now the imprimatura stage is really the underpainting. It's the you telling yourself where stuff's going to go. So if you recall, if we come down to the drawing in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice it's a little bit different to the imprimatura stage. And indeed, if I show you this, which is where it really all started, which is this little painting here, I'll show you on the main screen. Here we go. Now that, if I can get it level, here we go, is where it all started. This is a live painting I did in North Yorkshire, and it was okay. I did it in the studio from a photograph, but this tree here, to me, was too near the centre, and I don't like that. I don't like anything too close to the centre of the canvas. So if I put that back up a second, all I did was I moved the tree over, so you see it here. And in so doing, the path got a bit wiggly. I don't mind a wiggly path. In actual fact, I think it helps the painting. If the path is dead straight, it'll either lead you in or it can lead you out. But the way we've got it here, you can see it's quite kind of winding. Windy. That's the word I'm looking for. So I'm going to leave that as a guide, mainly for colour. But to be honest, I'm not too positive. I'm not too bothered about colour at this stage. Now, let me go to the palette and we'll see. You'll notice I've got some of these tubes. Stick them in, screw them. Here we go. And they're coloured. It's inside as paint. But you can see they're coded. WW. Not quite sure what that means. But obviously when I made this paint, I did. In actual fact, this is... It's kind of an off-white, it's a cloudy white. So I'm going to put this on the palette. And it's a warm white, so that's what WW stands for, warm white. So what happens when you get past a certain sell-by date, your brain goes. Okay, let's put that there. SK2. Okay. So a quick look. I would say that's warm white, even was it? Yeah, it seems just a bit more pinkier. These codes, I try and I pre-mix my colours when I'm doing a large painting, and clearly I've done this several months ago, and I should have written down what these codes stand for. There you go. There's a clue. WG2. Good, eh? And this is probably IN3, this is indigo, so this is indigo 3. It's a bit of sky. So these pretty much are greys, warm greys, cool greys, and warm whites. Let's put those down and go to this. D1. Yeah. Oh dear, I must pay more attention at school. And this is D4, which I'd say is darker. Oopsie. Bit stuck. Okay, where's the palette knife? So, palette knives are somewhere very safe. Oh, there they are. Oh, you can tell this is live, eh? That's it. Now, this should squirt out. There we go. No idea what D2 and D4 are, but they're colours. And I tend to, let me show you what I do. I tend to do this. You see that? So there's my D1, T3 and D4. I pre-mix colours, put them in tubes. That way I never run out. And if I do, I've got a chance to remix. Now, Here we have a series of colours which I mixed today, which is G1 all the way through to G5. Guess what they are? Well, G stands for yellows or greens. G stands for yellows. Wow, this is live. Okay, G2, bit darker. Yep, you can see where this is going to go. Now, when I'm doing a big painting, and some of the paintings I do are, it could be 2 meters in width. The one thing I don't want to do is run out of paint, and that's why I pre-mix my colours and I stick them into these little tubes. So G3, which would be a bit darker still. Excellent. G4. Darker still. And G5. Now, the mixing of these colours, I've got a video which explains how I mix my greens. And this one's so new, it's not even been opened up. Here we go. Now, generally speaking, I tend to cheat a little bit when I'm mixing colour. It's probably an age thing. Most artists will use probably mix their greens from yellows or blues, or both. I do that as well, but I also give it a bit of a start by either a sap green or olive green or green earth or something, depending what it is. And that gives me the start. I can make it yellowier, if that's a word, bluier, if there's another one, lighter or darker. But the main colour of, say, sap green gives me a good start. And I kind of like that. So if that's a little cheat, then okay. But I don't think it is. I think it's just the way I do stuff. Now, I'll put this up on screen as well. This is Venetian turpentine, and it's just pretty much as it comes out the bottle. And Venetian turpentine I use is from Royal Talens. Now, there's no real connection between me and Royal Talens other than I use a lot of their materials. Their canvases, I think, are brilliant, and that's where it finishes. So there's no monetary gain that I have through saying, oh, you need to buy this stuff, other than the fact that it's really good stuff. And if price is, say, here, Royal Talens is about there, so they're really good value. Obviously, you can get what you pay for, but you can also pay a fortune for oil pigment, and, well, maybe some companies aren't as true as they should be. I'm going to leave it there. But Royal Talens, I do find superb product for a good price. Now, let's just talk for a very brief minute about the painting process. And I will go into this in much greater detail as we progress through these streams, and also the courses that I'm running on my art school. Now, the painting process, I see so many students, and I've been teaching for a very long time, I mean literally decades, that what they tend to do is they want to put the detail in from the first brush mark. So you've got a blank canvas and you're putting all this fine detail in, and why? So there's a painting process, and if you liken it this way, I think if you look at the painting process in a very simple way, it's a bit like baking a cake. Would you want to ice the cake before it's cooked? No. So this is really what I'm advising. Don't even think about icing the cake or putting the detail on the painting until the cake is cooked. Well, the painting is way past this stage. So as the weeks turn into months, you'll become familiar with these techniques and phrases, but they're there to sort of stop you getting too detailed into your work. It's not necessary. what I'm going to do now is just kind of colouring in. It's the blocking in stage. So once that's done, then we can paint. It's a stage at a time. So the first stage was maybe a little charcoal sketch. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, then in this particular case, I did a painting and thought, the tree's in the wrong spot. Normally you pick that up in a charcoal sketch. I would then go to a first layer or an imprimatur or a mapping out stage, which could be just a series of lines. And on some of the paintings we'll be doing over this year, that's exactly what this will be. It'll be just a series of lines, kind of informing me where I'm going to be sticking stuff. Then next stage is the blocking in stage, which is what we're going to be doing now. And the next stage after that is breaking up those big shapes into smaller shapes. And I'm going to leave it there because you'll see how this progresses as the weeks turn and we progress through. All of these Tuesday streams will be recorded and all of them will go onto my online art school, which is the Martin Close Art School. If you go to my website, which is almost, I think, up and ready now, which is www.martincloseartschool.com, right at the top you'll see a little link to which will take you through to the art community. The art community is totally free to join with just your name and an email address, and that's it. But on there's lots of courses, including these streams, and an ability for you to contact me if you want something specific. In addition to that, a bit of really good news, I know we get painting. After many, many months, far too many, I'm actually now so close, maybe only a few days or a week or two before I launch the paid-for online art school. And this is a subscription school, and it's going to literally be only $12 a month, which is less than £10 if you're British a month. And it gives you everything. It gives you all of the courses, and there's at least one course a week being added. So we'll probably start with about 6 courses, maybe 7 or 8. And all of these streams will be on there, plus much, much more. And you'll have the ability to ask me, how do you do this? And I'll be able to either answer you directly or make a video with showing you exactly how we do something. So please do join, and I shall look forward to seeing you in the future classes. Now let's switch to the palette, and you'll see the Venetian turpentine here. I just literally lift it up a little bit, and we're going to start straight into, I'm going to start with the sky. That's a bit of an unusual thing because most of you will say, oh, you should have started with the darks. It's personal choice. I don't mind light or dark, but I want to know where those lights are. So that's where I'm going to start. And then first off, it's going to make this a sunny blue sky. So as you can see, it's very warm. So there's going to be bits of blue patches. And look at this. I'm just going to pop this in. Not too much paint. That's an unusual thing. Most of my students now be going, what? Because I'm always saying more paint, more paint. So, but in this particular case, it's first layer. I don't want to go too painty, and I just want to keep it a bit thin. It's just me telling me where stuff's going to go. Do you understand? So it's not really that important. We have big dollops of blue sky. Now a little bit more Venetian turps. The amount you should use, probably, I should say this, maybe no more than 1/3 Venetian turps, 2/3 paint. You can vary that, but generally speaking, that's a generalisation there, it's a general rule. I'm going to go a little bit grey, because after all, there's the UK, and this is our summer, right? No, it's winter, just after Christmas. But for those of you who are British, you know what I mean. The wonderful summers we get here are sometimes a little bit grey. Anyway, I'm putting this in. So you can see now these would represent maybe the beginnings of clouds. And again, there's no detail here. So I'm just going to pop this in as a patch. Another way of looking at this stage would be, if you've ever done, I'm sure you have, paint by numbers, a sort of, kids painting kit you used to buy. Well, this is number clearly, what was it? Don't know, WW. So this is pretty much what you wanted to be doing. You want to be putting this in as a block, a shape, maybe a little bit down here. I'm not too sure about this. We'll come to that in a minute. I'm going to actually switch colours. I'm going to go slightly darker, as you can see if you look at the palette now. Next colour down. There we go. And I'm not going to go too much on this. Maybe a bit around the side here. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe, yeah, just a little bit here and there. So all of this will develop it. In other words, we'll work on it until it becomes a stunning painting. At least that's the idea anyway. Let's just tickle in some of this blue. I want to lose that edge. Don't like edges at this point in time. I want to keep it a bit loose. There we go, a bit of blue there. Struggling to get through. All right. Now you notice also the way I'm putting the paint on. I'm not doing that. Please don't do that. I call this a dibby dabby doos. You put the oil paint goes around the sides of the brush, and it's not watercolor, so it doesn't go as you touch it onto the canvas. No, you got to actually work at it. So side on, put the paint on which is on the side of the brush. Don't do this. It doesn't do anything at all. It just makes a mess, and it's very bad technique. So if you find yourself doing that, which you might well do, especially if you're just starting out, or if you're a bit further down the road and you haven't had me nagging at you, don't do this. Not good. I try to look at it as a brush down, or brush stroke. Let's put stroke in there, shall we? So a brush stroke down, a brush stroke up, brush stroke 45 degrees, and 45 degrees the other way. So it was like a little X, something you put on a Christmas card, and then go random. Might have to explain that one. So in other words, don't be too rigid about doing it this way. Just literally go up and down all over the place. That's what I mean by random. Don't go in a particular pattern. There is no pattern to painting. I mean, gosh, you know, nature is so untidy. I mean, look at this path. Look at the trees. Look at that rock. You think someone put it there deliberately? It's a mess. So therefore, don't paint so neat and tidy. Make a mess. Well, it's not too big a mess, but a controlled mess. I don't know, can you have one of those? But don't be too worried and too worried. Well, don't be too worried. That's probably the best way of putting it. About sticking something somewhere where you feel it has to go. Yeah, we can easily move it. I was making this a little bit lighter in that area. Not sure why. No, actually, I'm not sure why at all, but I just felt that, so it's in there. Okay, so this clearly is a brush with blue on. Not much blue, mainly bluey grey. So a bit of tissue. I'm going to wipe this. Here we go. See that? Just wiping the surplus paint off. We've done the sky. Whoopee. Now let's go to the next colour. So I'm not going to go green just yet. This is a kind of path colour. Should have been P1, P2, P3, shouldn't it? Never mind. And so I'm going to just feel where this could go. It kind of fits there. And I just, you see, I'm wiping this on. It's almost like I'm using it as a pencil now. So it's a bit of Venetian taps. And just putting this in rough. Now this will never stay that colour. This is the thing. Why on earth do we do this? Why do we put colours in that we then want to change? Well, if you ever figure that one question out, let me know, will you? I always put it down to an evolution, like we're evolving the painting. I don't know what this is going to look like until it's finished, but it's okay. I have it in my head what I'm trying to achieve. For those of you who know me, don't comment on what I've just said. There's not a great deal of things in my head sometimes, especially when I'm painting. It's like hours go by, disappear, all of a sudden, oh, it's, bedtime. Anyway, I better keep that one to myself. Look, so I'm just tickling in, well, there's another arty phrase for you, tickling in these colours. And I'm not really that worried at all. I mean, look, there you go. Oh, stuck it in the wrong place. I'm not worried. So please don't be if you do that. Kind of feel we're okay. So now, again, bit of tissue. I'm going to wipe. This is like one brush technique, isn't it? You know those artists that say you should have one brush per colour? They are 100% right. But I don't know, when you're faced with doing the dishes afterwards and you really want to try and maybe minimise on the amount of brushes you're using, that's probably such a bad thing to say as a tutor, but, well, it's not really I mean, it is, but I think this is a kind of honest class. I like to think so anyway, and I do that, so I'm sorry. I'm not the best artist in the world, but I like to think I'm okay enough to teach. But anyway, you be the judge of that. So I'm now going to go and I'm going to start straight into the dark. This is what you've all been waiting for, that dark moment. Because I've got all the light bits in. You see what I mean? So let's just put this in. Now, I'm only really worried about where these darks go. And I'm not worried about anything else. So here we go. Try and get us... I'm trying to have a straight, steady hand here. We'll see how this works. Obviously, I'm trying to stay out of the view of the camera, which is just by my right side. You don't want my profile face in there if you can help it. Well, I certainly don't. You know, there's a colour which I think I might need to pull out in a second, but we'll see. It's one of those colours where artists say you should never use. Shudder. It's black. But don't tell that to anybody, okay? We'll see how it goes. Now, I've put this in, and I'm mindful it's not as dark as I'd hoped it would be, but never mind, we'll persevere with that. Just the shadows, you understand? Now, this looks a bit weird. It looks like it's, I don't know, what is that? It'll become something. But right now, I'm just worried about main shapes. So these are the dark greens going in. Notice I'm not terribly worried about going over into that light green area. That's okay. Now, where else can I stick some of this dark? Good question. Again, I'm now looking at these random brush marks and I kind of feel a bit of dark could be there because I feel this is the dark zone. Light zone is over here, but this is dark. And also the other thing I think is dark is this. Now, it's a bit more Venetian terps. Why do we use Venetian terps? Any ideas? Let's have a look and see. No ideas. Okay, so the reason we use Venetian terps is fundamentally it's tree sap. It's tree sap with bits added, but it's basically tree sap. And tree sap, if you ever get it on your fingers, it's sticky. Right, so we've got some paint here which is now sticky. Now, if we didn't have tree sap, or if we didn't have Venetian terps on the palette, this wouldn't be sticky. It would be oily, which means if I wanted to put some more colour, this paint, yeah, onto it, and maybe another half an hour, it's going to still be oily. But because I've used tree sap, it won't be oily. It'll be oily-ish, but it'll be sticky, and therefore I'll be able to stick other layers of paint directly on top of it within 20 minutes, half an hour. Just think about that for a minute, because that is why I paint in oils. It's so versatile, and it gives me everything I need. So this is sticky, and actually the whole painting's a bit sticky, and think that's quite nice. Now this is a raised bank, so the raised bank will have some dark where it's not getting the sunlight hitting it. And this is about as much thinking as I want you to do, by the way, in class. I'm forever telling my students who I teach, one-to-one with, never think in class. It's a total waste of time. You want to see. Doesn't matter what you're painting. Glass jar, a flower, a tree, a rock, path, whatever it is. You don't see it. How are you going to paint it? Don't think. You don't need to use your brain. You just need to use your eyes. And if anything else you need your heart. You need to feel where you're going with your paintings. And honestly, that's a video I could probably do as well, is how to paint without thinking. I do it all the time. It's become a natural thing I do. Now I'm putting in some darks here under this rock, because this rock is here, light comes across, so this end of it is going to be in shadow. Notice, no detail. I'm not icing the cake, I'm just blocking it in. Well, you block a cake in, do you? But I'm just, effectively I'm making a neat mess. I should really think before I talk, but it's that's fundamentally what I'm doing. I'm making a neat-ish mess. I can't imagine the comments that I'm going to get from saying a neat mess. All right, let's continue with this. Now you see, I'm not paying too much attention to the edge. I don't care about it. I want to destroy the edge of anything because I want it to be blurry. I know you said blurry, but blurry. I need it to be a little bit sort of out there. And we're only sticking darks in. What's it look like so far? Yeah, a mess. Good. Let's just stick a bit more in. Check the time. Yeah, we're cool. Right. Whoops, that's the wrong painting, Martin. You can tell this is live, right? Okay. Bringing this up a little bit. Again, just a few darks, nothing else, nothing more. And there will be some darks over here, so we'll stick those in. There won't be as much. And there will be some darks. Without darks, you haven't got any light. It's the dark that makes your light look light. I'll give you a moment to figure that one out before I elaborate on it. Maybe we should elaborate that on a different video. How to make your lights light by adding dark. Okay, almost there now. Just a few tickles and then I'm going to break into different colour. Okay. Right, I'm going to keep this, I'm not going to wipe the brush off, I'm going to keep the colour on there. I'll go to the next colour up, which is a lighter green. Shock horrors. And here we go. So, now, just again, random strokes, putting this in. Remember I said to you about making a mess? Well, this is it. Make it nice and messy. This is why I say don't worry too much about this being so neat and tidy, because, well, what's the point? The object is to mess it up in a nice way. Hopefully this will be, whoops, wrong colour. I said about not thinking, well, at least, maybe think about what colour you're sticking the brush into. Right. You can probably see the technique here. It's almost like I'm using it as a pencil. Yeah, just popping a bit of colour in there, messing that edge up. I can just imagine some of you guys looking at this going, what? Well, don't worry. You're not the first. Most of my students look at why I start painting and just scratch their heads. But it's surprising when let go like this and you're not worried about the outcome, how amazing some of your paintings can look. If you're too worried about stuff, then you don't progress. Now, put a bit of light green underneath here, just touching on a bit more of that Venetian Terps. Now, have you noticed the Venetian Terps, you can probably see it on the palette, is really nice and clean? That's because when I stick the brush in it, I don't wiggle. There's no wiggle of the brush when it's in the dip, whatever the dip is. You dip, nothing in the terps, everything's in the brush. That's because you don't wiggle like a watercolourist would, clean the brush in the water. Don't do that. Watercolours do that, but and by the way, I also do enjoy watercolouring, so I'm not just one of those, oh, here's an oil artist. I've done pretty much everything, I think. Gouache, watercolours, acrylics, many different mediums. The thing I will say is I've met many acrylic artists, and I know there's this thing where oil artists kind of roll their eyes up at certain other mediums. Well, I've seen some stunning acrylic paintings. I mean, breathtakingly so. And the only thing I have in my head about that is just a question, why? This colour I mix here, all of it in actual fact, when it dries, will just dry. It won't dry lighter, it won't dry darker, it just dries. So if I'm painting your portrait and I get the perfect skin tone colour on your cheek or your forehead, it's not going to dry darker or lighter, it's just going to dry. So with watercolours, it's guesswork. I mean, it's going to dry, 2, 3, 4 shades lighter, and with acrylic, 2, 3, 4 shades darker. I mean, it's significant. So that's what I don't understand. I don't want to make things that hard for me. So I don't get why acrylics are used so readily when actually they're really hard. And oil painting is so much easier. I mean, am I rushed? Am I panicking? No, it's going to be fine. And when someone says, oh, it's going to take 4 months to dry. No, it's not. This will be dry by tomorrow. Well, maybe late tomorrow, but we didn't start very early, did we? So I'm just going into a bit more dark in here. I think it's like all things. There's a certain amount of, I've never done it, and you listen to people and all of a sudden what they say becomes gospel. Just try oils. But you don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds to try oils. You need fundamentally 6 colours. My 6, if you're going to start in oils, titanium white. I would probably suggest cadmium yellow deep. There's an interesting choice. Then alizarin crimson for the red, French ultramarine blue for the blue. No surprises there. I would go, I'm torn here between 2, but I'm going to suggest raw umber. Raw umber is a yellowy brown, which is a direct opposite from French ultramarine blue, which gives you a solid black, albeit transparent. And the other thing I would suggest would be, black, ivory black. So why? Well, the yellow and the black makes an amazing green. And if you add blue and yellow to it, it'll increase the strength of that green. There's 1,000 different reasons why those 6 colours really work as a starting set. You can expand as you wish when you know, that it's for you. But until then, why put yourself through that pain? Now here, I've gone up a colour whilst you weren't looking. Now I'm just mindful of it's a little bit dark, so I'm going up another colour. Ooh, shudder. I might actually want to go up another colour in a minute after this, but I've actually put quite a bit of Venetian Terps on that. Hopefully it won't bite me one. Things which are in the distance, I tend not to go too extreme in colour. And that was too light, too dark. I want to keep the colour a little bit not so high in chroma. Chroma, if you don't know what chroma is, then do join my online art community. Chroma is the saturation of a colour. If you're old enough like I am, you might remember Ektachrome and Kodachrome colour film. Well, that means high chroma colour film. So highly saturated or higher saturated, and that's what chroma basically is. So it's one of the four, get it right, one of the three elements of colour. Ah, now I've said something. What does he mean, Precious? What are the three elements of colour? What do you think they are? I'll give you a moment before I tell you. Just blocking in some of these light areas. There we go. So this, the reason this is light is I'm thinking some of this sunlight's going to be hitting around here. So that's all I'm doing. I'm kind of putting in some lightish zones. Chroma. Okay. All colours are made of three elements: light and dark, tone. Many people call it tonal value. Well, okay, tone. It can be a light tone or a dark tone. Next one up is hue. Now, I like to think hue is a guy who runs around the colour wheel. Okay, maybe he's got little legs. He just runs around the colour wheel all day long. So yellow, orangey yellow, orange, orangey red, red, purpley red. Those are hues. So there's hue. And the final one is chroma, which is a saturation. Is it grey or is it full of colour? Right, there you go. I'm now giving you everything you need to know about colour theory. Ish, maybe not quite, but yeah, it's a good start. Right, I've just realised I've painted my rock green. Probably not the best start. That's not a problem. But it's beginning to take shape now, isn't it? Can you see the colours begin to make sense? Well, I hope they do anyway, or I'm in the wrong profession. Okay, here we go. Just going to make this messy. That's it. I don't want to make it too tidy. There's that messy thing again. Right, here we go. So, lights. Light greens. I'll put these trees in later. I'm not really fussed about those for a minute. Let's put some of this lightish green in. Now, because of the terps, this is all a little bit sticky. It's not too terribly sticky, but it is sticky-esque. It's probably not a word, is it? Never mind, it shall be today. Gosh, it's I can't begin to tell you guys how I've looked forward to today over the Christmas New Year period. Spent most of it on my back with some unpleasant bug, but we're back. And apologies if I messed you guys around last week. Trust me, you would not have wanted to have seen me on your TV screens or on any kind of screen for that matter. This is the best I've been in over a month, I think. I mean, let's talk about how grim it's been. I think I've had 2 bottles of wine over the entire holiday period since early December. Now, I'm not exactly a guzzler, but I do enjoy a bottle of nice red. Obviously to myself, because that would be a bit rude, wouldn't it? But I just 2 bottles throughout the entire holiday. I mean, that's sad, right? Anyway, moving on. Otherwise I'll have everybody phoning and saying, no, that's great. Anyway, for me, I found it a bit of a relief to get almost back in the saddle. I still haven't had any alcohol. I'm not allowed. My wife won't let me. She's the sensible one of the of the duo. Anyway, we're getting there. I just realised I probably opened a can of worms, and especially if my wife then sees this stream. It's been nice knowing you guys. Oh dear. I'm sure I say things just to be bad. I haven't quite worked out the psychology of that yet. Many of my friends will go, whoa, I can tell you, okay. That's another stream. Right. I hope you guys are enjoying this and seeing how this is beginning to take shape. Because I think it is. And now I'm putting some light green at the top because, well, there's no shadow. It's daylight. It's the sunlight hitting those tops of the trees. And look at that random stroke I'm putting in. I'm not fussed really. It'll do whatever. Oh, that's a bit of dark. Okay, that's unplanned. Never mind. And I'll be able to correct this as well. Change it to my will, if you wish. Oh, that's a bit. That's a bit wrong, I think, isn't it? Well, you know what I mean. I'll be able to change it as I please. I'm not going to be there permanently. If it's not right, we'll change it and make it so it is right. Now, this light background means that these trees here, which are probably quite distant, or they will be when I get around to painting them, it gives it a bit of distance. So I'm over painting the blue and the light colour, and again just messing those edges up. It's fine. This is the underpainting, not the main event. So we don't need to go for an Academy Award. The main acting comes in the next stage. That's when we start to really paint. This is, we're cracking the eggs and we've got the sugar and the flour, we're mixing it up, but we're not putting it in the oven yet, we're not cooking yet. And we're certainly not icing the cake yet. So, I'm so going to get into trouble for saying, oh, I can't afford it, never mind. It's always good to live dangerously. Now, I'm almost at the stage where I think I am actually. I'm going to put the brush down and just get a little tickly brush. Now this is a Rosemary & Co. 305, although it's completely, and it's probably been with me a few years, this one. So what I want to do now is to soften it. I don't want to make it too blurry, but I just want to soften some of these edges because there's a Caravaggio painting in the National Gallery in London, and you can see where he's moved this subject's foot like 6 or 8 inches, but you can still see the original place of the foot because there's a ridge there. Yeah, clearly Caravaggio didn't come to my class. So what I'm trying to say here is that rather than have a ridge here, just soften it. Just take I'll show you what I mean. If there's a ridge of paint here, right? This is a brush and there's a ridge. There's another, I'm going to drop the brush. Another ridge of brush there. What we want to do, so you've got this bumpy bit in the middle, we want to do that to it so it's smooth. That's what we want to do. So, light into dark at this stage, and I'm going to have a bit of tissue in my hand. Because what I want to do is I want to kind of just blur the edge. diffuse it. There's a better way of saying it, maybe. So just the edge of the path. Not too disrespectful. I'm going to keep the path where it is, ish. I mean, yeah, it's in the lapse of, obviously, life in the universe, but I want to kind of keep the design of the painting as is. I kind of like it. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel at this stage. I'll be here a month of Sundays from now. So I'm just softening the edge. Trying to keep the shape in place, but softening the edge. Now look at this. We've got this kind of rock in this position. Now rock is a hard place, so we don't need to go too soft, but that's probably enough. Just again to soften the ridges. Now, moving down from this and going to the lighter part of the of that area. And here's where I just really want to give myself the chance to make corrections should I need. I'm just literally, I'm not make it too smooth. In actual fact, where's the brush? I want to ruffle that up a bit. Oh, that's a successful ruffle. There we go, let's try again. Yep. Maybe a bit darker. Maybe I should have put some black out. Oh, I can feel people going, what, black? There's that chicken in the room again. But, you know, Caravaggio used black, Da Vinci used black, Rembrandt used black, and so did Alexander Zorn. So, I mean, you know, the Zorn palette, it's black on that. These are great masters. I mean, really absolute amazing artists. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. Here we go. So I'm just kind of not diffusing those colours too much. I just want to soften some of the edges. And I'm very mindful I've got lots of black or dark areas, not black. I haven't got any black out, but dark areas in this area. So I don't want to kind of destroy those darks. I want to keep them in, but I do want to soften this area out a bit. Here we go. Bingo. Take all in there. Now, do you remember this is the shadow because sunlight here? Kind of thing we could have gone a bit lower down on that. So let me just clean off that brush, dip in the old dip, and here we go. Perfect. You know, it's at times like this when you can just spend ages fluffing around, and before you know where you are, you've taken it past the sell-by date. You've really gone into perfection mode. Well, it's never a good idea, I think, but it does happen. And if it does, you know, don't paint angry, don't get cross. Really want to elaborate on that because I've said it. So, you know, part of learning, in fact, it's not part of learning, it's everything about learning, is getting it wrong. If you get everything right, you're not learning anything. One of the other things I'm passionate about is music. I play the flute and play the guitar. If I take the Rodrigo Guitar Concerto in D minor, for example, boy, am I going to get that wrong. There's no hope in hell of me getting that right. It's going to take 3 months before I even master the first opening bars. So, but I'm learning, and that's great. So when you start your painting career or path or journey, there's a better way of saying it, journey, your artist journey, don't get frustrated. If you get it wrong, smile. Yes, I've got it wrong. Again, because that's when you're learning the most. And if you're here to learn, well, isn't that great? Good. So all my students get bamboozled with these phrases. Bamboozled? Well, they get thrown these phrases constantly, which is, don't worry if you get it wrong. Smile. That's why you're here. You're here to get it wrong. Doesn't that take all the pressure off? No pressure. Enough pressure in life without you adding more on top. Always be happy when you're painting. Just look at that. It even looks like a tree or a forest already, and there's nothing in there. We've got no detail. But the detail, when we start putting it on, is going to shine because it's got everything around it which is good. And that's why we do this. Coming into the light, and this is kind of nice and sticky. That's nice. It's working. Can you see it just takes that slightly out of focus? And that's what we want to do. If this was a portrait, the most important one of that's not true. One of the very important things about a portrait is the hair follicles around the side of the face. There's no hard line. If you put a hard line around a portrait, it looks really pants. It just doesn't look good at all. So soften those edges, and all of a sudden it looks like they're little hair follicles, which you don't want to paint, right? But they're there because it's soft, and it's the light's kind of bent around them, and that's priceless. Right. I'm probably painting over this light area a little bit too much, or am I? No, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. The light was there to make it lighter. Did its job. Now, very mindful of my shoulder being in the way, or worse still, the side of my face onto the main canvas camera. That's why I keep looking back to make sure that I'm okay. It's not a painting about me, is it? It's a painting about this. Here we go. Besides, I'm not looking my best currently. Who does in their 70th year? Oh, grown. Anyway. I just realised I just let slip a little morsel there. Occasionally there are years where you go, oh, sad and woe is me. Could be you're 18, could be you're 21, could be you're 30. What's that big one that swallows? 40. And then you get 50, and that's even kind of, then you become the big 60. I don't know, maybe I went to the wrong class at school, but I've always struggled with these big numbers, and this year I want to see even bigger. And turning 60, no, 70. I can't even add up. It's a difficult one to swallow, that. God, I can't believe I've shared that online. I'm also after a birthday card or something, clearly. Anyway, we digress. I'm just going to put that brush down, and I'm going to go to a little wee brush. Here we go. This is as wee as they get. And I'm going to start with the real darks. And I'm going to, actually, no, that's a light. I'm going to reinforce that with a bit of dark around the sides. Very almost painted the lights dark. I was saying to you about the brain and thinking. Well, maybe it's a good idea to do a little bit occasionally, eh? Okay. Now, yes, I want to put this dark area in here above there, so one of the things which maybe if you're a mature student, I have to think about that for a minute, because the shaky hand syndrome, Yeah, don't worry about that. It just means you're going to be really good at blending. There's always a positive. I know this because I have shaky hand syndrome. There was a time when I didn't have any shakes. Now I live with that constantly. That's okay. And see what I'm doing there? I'm just putting a hint of some trees. Nothing more. Just a few. We'll go more detailed next stage, next step. For now. And if you're going to put trees in, make sure you put them at different angles. Trees are, remember, messy, untidy. They're not all in a perfect row. They're higgledy-piggledy. That's fine. Okay. Now, I'm going to clean this brush off a little bit. And I'm going to go with some light, because I want to put some light into this rock. Now, a bit of Venetian. Notice I'm putting the Venetian terps also to the side. I'm not putting it in the middle of the paint. And I want to have control as to how much Venetian terps I stick in the paint. So if I get a big dollop and I mixy, I've got no control. So just put it in a little bit on the side. So the rock is light bits, just where the sunlight hits. And we can zone in on this a bit later in the next stage. I don't want to go too precious. There you go, there's a nice word. Don't want to go too precious on it just for now. We'll do that later. Right, what else? We're almost there. Yeah, the side of the tree. Okay, so let's just see if I can get this in one go. No was the answer. Okay, do you remember, you can't do something, just lay back and smile. It's fine. 1 pass, 2 pass, 3 passes. If you can't get it by the 5th pass, then maybe sit down and have a cup of tea or something. But whatever you do, don't start throwing the toys out the pram. It's not worth it. Everything will be okay on the night. Well, maybe. Let's not be too positive about anything, eh? Okay. Bit more. Add an extra dip. And I'm going to put the underside of that tree in. That was way, way, way too thick. See how worried I look. Again, down here. Okay. Notice something? Light is here, so the highlighter of this tree is on the left. Highlight of this tree, when I make the adjustment now, is on the right. Now, a bit more Venetian terps. Let's just look at this. Cleaning the brush off a little bit. Okay. Now, the way to make a tree look thinner is really quite easy. It's the green. So there you go, done. Now that being what it is, let's say this shadow is going to come along here. And this shadow maybe there. Good. The shadow of this rock. We're pretty much almost done, I think, for this stage. I'd like to get that a bit. Yeah, it's a bit better. And yeah, I've got those distant trees in there, so I just want to get a bit of light. Drying the brush, bit of tissue, and just with a dry brush, just drag it down, and you can see it joins the paint up, joins the edge up, makes a far more believable edge. Everything to do with this tree we'll do in the next stage. Here, yeah, I can do better on that on the next stage. Make these things come alive. They look a bit tweedle trees, and currently there's like 1, 2, 3. It's like almost like a collapsed picket line fence. Not my favourite hour, but that's okay. I'm not too fast. Bit of the dark. Now, really, what am I doing here? I'm messing around a bit because everything is pretty much done. I think I'm just being a bit perfectionist over it, which I always tell my students don't be, so I'm getting a bit mindful of that. I think we're there. The edges here will be sharper, and we'll clean those up on the next level. Oh yes, there's just a few tickles in here on the path. So a few messy bits. That's all we need. Like shadows. Parts of the path which have got something on it or are a bit messed up. Big rocks, pebbles, uneven surfaces. I mean, really, I could have left the path to the end. I could have, that next level stage, but like I said, it's a bit. So when that precious person comes and says, "Oh no, that's not right. Oh, we could do better there." Okay, I'm guilty of it too. Don't be gentle. Just literally breaking up some of those harsh, big shapes. Even at this stage, it's so difficult to not go to the super detailed underpainting stage. It's, what is it about? I don't know. I think with although having seen that, I'm just going to put a bit of, actually it's light in. Bit of a light green. Yeah, there you go. Right, messed up that edge. Remember I said no nice edges. I think we're there. So, how long did that take? Yeah, just about an hour. So be surprised what you can do with that. Now this is a weeny canvas. It's like, there's my hand. So This is probably 10 by 9 or no, it's talking about 10 by 8 or something like that, maybe 12 by 8. It's not a huge canvas, it's a board. Why do we do this? I'm so glad you asked that question. You see, look, most of my paintings are, I've already mentioned to you, several, like 1.2, 1.5 meters in width. If I start painting a 1.5 or 2 meter wide canvas, after about 2 days, I then go, tree's in the wrong place. It's not a good thing. These little canvases are my feelings, my ideas, my thoughts. And if I get one that goes, yeah, that really works, then I've got that as a guide to use on a big canvas. And that's why these little canvases are so crucial to my working method. Yeah. But it's great to learn on because you do them so quick and you learn so much. Once you learn on these, then you can look at something of investing, say, £100 on a canvas and get anything big because you know what you're doing. You're not going to make as many errors because you've gone through this learning process. Okay, so I think everything else is done. We're going to go to detailing next. This is this stage over and done with. The next stage is putting the detail on, or a little bit. We'll see how far we go. We might take 2 stages with that, who knows? But the painting process, we're bang on. It's going to be okay.